I was reflecting on the conversation that I had with an elder at the memorial the other day, and I got to work this morning, and of course we park kind of far away, so people will usually come and offer you a ride to the front on the golf cart or in one of the cars that they happen to be either working on or getting ready to put out on our lot for sale or whatever. Just a friendly thing to do, offer you a ride. But I like to walk. It's part of my morning ritual, if you will, to just walk up to the building unless the weather's bad. And some of the people that I work with who have also become my friends, they're pulling up and they're waving and smiling, and some people are acting silly, and it's just a good morning. And it made me think about the guy that I talked to at the memorial. He was an elder. Now, at first, his personality seemed like a really pleasant guy. And he was a pleasant guy. You'll see when I get the memorial all edited up and Jimmy and I talk about it, that he said some things that very much contradict what the governing body says. But that's not at all unusual. But towards the end, when I started asking him about scriptural positions that I felt that the witnesses were wrong about, that's when he started to get judgmental. And you'll see in the video that he started to get judgmental when he couldn't answer the questions in any way that was reasonable. And it's kind of annoying that we went round and round and round. So I had to edit it a lot because there was a lot of back and forth that wasn't getting anywhere. He's an elder. He's indoctrinated. But you'll see the points that I'm making and how he was unable to respond to them in a way that actually logically answered the questions that I was asking. And he starts to get judgmental, saying that I'm not in the truth, I'm not serving Jehovah properly, and that sort of thing. And that, of course, reminds me of how I was when I was a witness. Although I would never actually say those words to someone, I would think them. I was a very pleasant, friendly person when I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I was. But that judgmental mentality was always there. If someone disagreed with you in a way that you couldn't answer, your default response was, oh, well, they're just not in the truth. They're inadvertently serving the devil. There was all kinds of excuses that you would make for why you were superior to them. Though, of course, you would never say it that way. That's precisely what you're thinking, is that you're superior. Your religion is superior. Your organization is superior. Your beliefs are superior, which makes who superior? You. It's an extremely judgmental way of viewing things. And it also makes it impossible to have a friend who is a witness if you are not one. Like, for instance, the people that I hang out with here from work, I've become friends with them. We hang out outside of work all the time. And they don't agree with me on everything, and I don't agree with them on everything. And there's some hardcore Christians that I get into some pretty heated debates with. But after it's over, we go have a beer and laugh and have a good time. Because we don't have to agree. We may not even respect the other person's position, and that we don't think that it's a healthy position to hold, but we do not judge the individual even if we don't like their position. And that's just not at all how it is when you're one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I say it all the time because it's absolutely true that Jehovah's Witnesses take good people and suppress their goodness so that they're no longer as good. Because rather than doing the things that their inner goodness would cause them to respond with, they are indoctrinated to do what they've been taught to do by the Watchtower Corporation and the governing body. And the funny thing about it is at one point the elder says, oh, I don't listen to the governing body, I only listen to the Bible. But all the rest of the things he says, he keeps talking about the governing body's decisions, the governing body's positions, the governing body. If he only listens to the Bible, why does he need the governing body at all? Obviously, he would not. But he's indoctrinated to believe two opposing viewpoints. One, that his beliefs are based only on the Bible. And two, that he has to follow the direction of the governing body. Those two things are completely contradictory. Either you're listening to the Bible or you're listening to the governing body. You can't do both. And of course, I demonstrate that with clips and stuff in the video. But it's very sad to me that the Watchtower organization takes people that when I talk to them, I think, you know what? If this person wasn't a witness, they would be pretty cool. I would like to hang out with them. They have a great personality. They've been through a lot of stuff in life. I think I could learn a lot from them and their experience in life. But you can't do that if they're a witness. It's sad because they're so indoctrinated that they could never really be your friend. And Beth and I talked about that in our video about not having real friends or, sadly, even real family if they're in the organization of Jehovah's Witnesses. Because, like, I have brothers, and they're in the religion, but they're not, like, hardcore peemies or anything. So they'll talk to me, text me, sometimes funny stuff, whatever. But I can't really talk to my brothers. I've tried, but they just close up because they're indoctrinated. They can never accept you for who you are if you're not one of them. And that elder at the memorial makes it very clear that he thinks unless I'm one of them, I am unacceptable to God. Now, he denies saying that, but that's exactly what he meant. And you'll see when you watch it that there's no other conclusion to draw from what he said, other than he thinks that he's superior and I'm not acceptable to God because I'm not a witness. And that applies to your family too. So if you ever leave, even quietly or just fade or whatever, forget having real family with them. You can't. Because as soon as they find out that you don't believe what they believe, that instant judgmental wall pops up, just like it did with the elder. And you lose them. And the consequences of that, if you continue to push against that wall, is that they will shun you because they think you're dangerous. They've been indoctrinated to believe that you are from the devil and you are there to remove their potential for living forever in paradise. And that was another thing that I found very interesting at the memorial. He's talking, and he keeps talking about the paradise, earth, 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 and not about people who believe they're going to heaven, because Watchtower largely teaches that there's not many of those left. And yet, in the audience, there are quite a few partakers. Way more than I expected. I was surprised. And that reminded me, I saw a video from JW Thoughts, who I think is really good. So if you haven't seen his stuff, go check out his channel. He's very funny, but he's got a good way of explaining things. And he talks about that. It's like, it's just getting silly how many people are partaking every year with the 144,000 belief still intact, because that number should be going down dramatically. It should not be going up. And he even made a prediction that within 2 years, the 144,000 belief is going to go away. And that's one of the things that I was talking to that elder about, was I'm showing him the scriptures, how nothing in Revelation 14 is literal at all. And the witnesses don't teach that any of it's literal. And the elder admits that all of it's symbolic. And yet they take that one number as being absolutely literal for no reason that the elder could explain. It takes a fully indoctrinated brain to read that chapter and think that the number 144,000 is literal, when everything else in the book, not just the chapter, but in the book, is symbolic. But that's the witness brain. You go from having a normal mindset, not always good, it's not always great. You know, people outside aren't perfect. Trust me, I've met some real a-holes out in the world too. But most people, at least when it comes to most of the things in their lives, they don't just cut you off because you disagree with them if you're friends. You disagree with family, but they don't just cut you off because you disagree with them. Some do. I'm not saying it never happens. I'm just saying that the indoctrination in the witnesses is so much deeper than in most everyone else that I have run into since having left the religion. That's not always the case. I was talking to a good friend of mine here, and he when I was telling him about what I was thinking about this morning, he said, "Oh, John, like that's all Christians," because he grew up in a pretty conservative household too. He's like, "They'll all judge you. They all think they're superior." And while there is some truth to that, I have seen that in some of the churches I visited. I've also been to ones that aren't like that at all. So I don't think it's mandatory to be a Christian and have a superior attitude like that. But I do know that it's very common. It's built into our psyche, that us versus them mentality. It's an ego thing. You're protecting your ego by thinking that you're right and they're wrong. We have the truth. They don't. God's with us, not with them. It's a tribal human ego response. And that response takes good people and makes them far less good than they could be. And that's the real shame of not just Christianity, but of organized religion in general. I am no fan of any organized religion because it creates a superiority complex where you begin to defend the group instead of apply the principles that the group was founded on. And that's the truth with Jehovah's Witnesses. That's the case with them too. If you look at the beginning, the idea that Charles Taze Russell at least claimed he was wanting to do was to get rid of all the stuff that religions had begun to put into the Bible that did not come from the Bible, to try to find the truth. And of course they didn't, but that was an honorable way to start. Even if I disagree with the premise, it's an honorable thing to do to try to get to the truth of a matter and not have a lot of extraneous things inside your belief system. But look what it turned into. Yet another big group that does nothing but defend itself, shuns people who don't believe, thinks everyone outside is from the devil and is going to die by God's hand at Armageddon unless they convert at the last minute. And New Light. And it's just sad. But that's not uncommon. So many groups, so many religions do the exact same thing. This is not uncommon. So I do agree with my friend and coworker who said that, oh, John, all Christians are like that. A lot are, not all, but a lot are. Most religious people generally, if they're really hardcore religious, they're like that too. We are superior to you. We are better than you. We have God's favor. And it just makes good people far less good than they could otherwise be. And that was definitely what I saw in the elder and his reaction to the things that I was saying. At first, he seemed like a pretty cool guy, like someone I would hang out with on the outside. But I know I could never do that. And you'll see towards the end of the video how judgmental he gets and how that indoctrination kicks in. And you see the eyes glaze over. It's really weird to watch it now that I'm out, and to look back and think, I used to do that too. I am so glad that I'm free. I'm so glad that I'm free of the grip, not only of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society and of the governing body and of the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses, but of that kind of mentality that comes from pretty much any organized group, not just religions, politics, your tribalism when it comes to the country you're from, your cultural background, that superior viewpoint that impacts a lot of people in a lot of ways. So if you're newly out, I would suggest taking a look at the other groups that you belong to, whatever they may be, and seeing if you are responding to people in the same way who are outside of that group as you did to people who are outside the religion that you were once a part of. We all do it. It's built into our psyche. It's built into our nature. But the more that we can reject that way of thinking, the more that we can see it for what it is, that we're just trying to protect our ego, and that's interfering with our ability to be caring, compassionate, kind people, the better off the world will be in the long run. I don't believe in the things I used to believe in, but I still have mad love for the example and person of Jesus Christ. And I agree with that, judge not, lest you be judged yourself. Stop judging. What good does it do? All you do is create division. Doesn't mean that there aren't situations where you need to protect yourself and draw boundaries. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about judging people just because they think and act differently from you. Let's stop doing that. The more we can stop doing that, the better we'll be as people, and the better the world will be in general. Well, that's what I was thinking about this fine morning, but I would love to know what you think, so please leave a comment below. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and to subscribe to my channel to get more of my videos. If you want to support me in the work that I'm doing to help get people out of the organization of Jehovah's Witnesses and change the way they think about the world and about themselves, please click the join button below. If you don't see a join button, there's a link in the video description where you can become a member of the channel and support what I'm doing here. And as always, thanks for watching.